A couple of days into the expansion now, I wanted to stream more, but I need to rest for a bit because I'm feeling a bit under the weather. So in the meantime, I decided to bring you a video just to keep my channel alive, I guess. So today we're playing Lishenna Portal. This one seems to be a bit of a popular archetype, not necessarily because it's good, but just because Lishenna is funny and she keeps summoning eggs. So yeah, the main idea of this archetype is just to summon Lishenna's eggs and keep popping them back and forth to chip your opponent down while healing yourself. And it's somewhere between control and mid-range, but you know, we'll get to that later. Anyway, let's look at the deck list we're playing for today first. So this is the deck list we're playing for today. Obviously far from a perfect deck list or anything, but it's the one that I've just been messing around with. Looking around at what other people are playing as well as trying out my own stuff. So this is the one that I landed on at the end of my session of recording gameplay for this. So this is the one I'll be showcasing. Of course, the main star of the show is Lishenna, who can summon, you can summon this white egg, or white psalm if you want to be more specific, but we just call it the white egg, which is an amulet, and when it reaches countdown, it will heal you one and then summon the black egg. And then the black egg will summon the white egg and deal 1 damage to enemy leader. So they sort of alternate with each other. Naturally, just at the start of your turn, they will swap. But you can also use cards like Lishenna's token spell of Melodious Monody, which will destroy allied card on the field, as well as other cards that can destroy your own stuff like Wasteland of Destruction, Supplicant of Destruction, and the Congregant of Destruction. This card is super strong. It's just very good removal. And you'll see we're not running the 4-cost bronze that Lishenna gets because it's not very good. So yeah, other than that, we have Devastating Soprano, which is our only other source of eggs. This one's actually easier to get active than Lishenna is, so this is like your main source of the egg most of the time. Of course, Lishenna's still good, but you know. And then other than that, because this deck has no real finisher, we sort of have to make up for it with neutral cards. So we are running Odin 3 off, Dogged 1 3 off as well. Gonna can help you heal, but she also acts as a finisher with her spell, which deals 5 damage to the enemy face. And then for the mirror match and for Crest Haven, I run Cocytus. I will, full disclosure, in all my time playing this deck, I have used Cocytus exactly once, so it's not like the most effective member of the team or anything. Oh, and I forgot to mention Axia. Yeah, she destroys your own stuff as well, and also she can deal damage to the enemy face, so that's pretty strong. So yeah. Other than that, it's just stuff to get you through the early game, as well as some healing and control tools to survive. So yeah, let's look at some games I have for you today. So our first match we have for you today is against Sword, because Sword is one of the most popular decks right now and is very powerful, so why not? For the mulligan, Lishenna and her 2-cost spell are the main searchers, as well as the puppet. Love Struck Puppeteer, I believe it's called, that one. If you're going first, you can consider Wasteland of Destruction, but against Sword, like, it's a bit slow to be playing this in the early game. We need to deal with their early aggression, so it's hard to recommend keeping this going first against Sword in this case. Going first against Sword, we need to focus on clearing their board, because if we let them keep followers, they can play Zirconia. Even Loot plays Zirconia, so yeah, we're not free from the curse of Zirconia quite yet. My opponent dropped the Lance Trooper here. Of course, we don't want to let them get away with it too much, so we go ahead and drop Axia here. There is a desire, I guess, to want to save her for her super evil, but you can also just spend her here as like a ward to protect your followers while you trade into their board so that you can sort of maintain advantage on the board here. Here, of course, we have to use Dogged 1 to clear because we don't want to leave them any followers that they can buff with Zirconia. And hopefully they just... I mean, the best case is they just don't have Zirconia, I guess, which is what happens here. In case they have Ultras, though, so they will be able to start getting their Remnant of Hollowness, I believe it's called, her spell, which can deal 4 damage to our face, which is not very exciting. But now our deck is finally online because unfortunately we didn't draw her 2-cost spell, so we are working with Lishenna's herself here. We'll go ahead and evolve her. Arguably you should just keep the spell instead of spending it here for clear later on. I just felt like having the 4-6 on board is quite annoying for a Sword because usually forces them to evolve something into it. In this case, it ends up being Zirconia. In the case of something like Waltz alone won't clear Lishenna, so they need to pair something else. So that was the idea of trying to preserve Lishenna's health. But again, it might have been worth it to just trade her and save the spell for later on. At this point, we need to draw into our deck. We are sure that we can clear this board with a Supplicant, so that is why we play the card draw first. Go ahead and trade with the Puppet here, and then we can use Supplicant. Whether you pop the Wasteland or the egg heavily depends on your hand, I think. Sometimes it's better to pop the egg, sometimes it's better to pop the Wasteland. In this case though, we kind of need the card draw, so we decided to pop the Wasteland. Arguably, since we have a second Supplicant, we could have just decided to pop the egg there instead, but yeah. There's a second Octris from my opponent, and then a Kagemitsu as well, so they are playing a fairly aggressive build here, I guess. They could choose to Super Evil my face here if they want to. There's certainly a choice, but I guess they decide not to. Usually for Sword, the most reliable combo they go for is Sincero into Albert Enhance, so that's probably why they didn't spend it there. We go ahead and use Golden List to clear. We want to preserve our evil points here while setting up our eggs. I will point out, Golden List very valuable in this matchup because it allows you to heal in between their Sincero and their Albert turns, which is like basically your best chance of surviving this matchup in particular. As long as you can survive this two-part combo and keep yourself relatively healthy, you can win this matchup. So that is that. So we take a 12 damage here from the classic Sincero combo. We definitely need to heal out of Albert range here, so we can go ahead and drop Gilneas. Gilneas is not really necessary as a finisher for this matchup in particular because Sword doesn't have much healing. I guess they have a lot of goblets, but for the most part you can probably outgrind them because most loot Sword decks aren't playing the high value mid-range cards like Amalia, so you can keep yourself relatively healthy, you should be able to answer what they do. And we go ahead and drop the Axia here just in case they want to enhance Albert here, it will not get past. Or rather they will be forced to leave Gilneas alive. Yeah, they go for walls, they save their evil point because probably I'm too healthy for them to just spend their evil point here. They're probably looking to kill me with Albert, but unfortunately for them, because they left my followers alive, they are going to die, so I use Axia. Axia notably has the ability to unlock your own board, so keep that in mind. And then with Dogged one here, it's gonna be lethal. So that's it for this game. Our next match here is against Rune. I was trying some weird stuff right now, which is why there is a dark side here. Just ignore it. So the reason why I put the Sword match first before all the other matches is mainly because this deck normally plays very long matches. The Sword one is the fastest one that I had, so I thought it would just give you a good idea of how this deck functioned. So I put that one at the start, in case you don't want to watch the whole video, because the next two matches are pretty long, so yeah. You have been warned. So against Rune, this matchup is pretty annoying. So I should explain the reason why I coined there is because we have a lot of even cost cards in my hand right now, so I'll fill up the curve here, start chipping them down to hopefully finish them off. This matchup is extremely bad for us. It's probably even worse than Crest Haven, honestly, because the Calculator's Decline combo is unstoppable. The moment they draw it, you just lose. So the main goal is to try to kill them before that happens. So to that end, we coin out the Love Trap Puppeteer to start hitting them in the face and killing them as fast as we can. Thankfully, relatively slow early game from them here with the homework time, but they have a lot of healing, so we can't let our guard down. Anyway, start setting up eggs. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but 3 eggs is the absolute maximum you should go to. Never go more than 3 eggs. If you go 4, like, I mean 5 is pretty obviously bad, but even if you go like 4 eggs, like you'll have a lot of trouble getting the cards you want to play played. So I strongly recommend just stopping at 3 eggs. If you have further egg generators, just save them for if your opponent plays Odin, or if not, the card becomes a break in your hand, but what can you do? Here my opponent thankfully doesn't seem to have End and Greya, so they just draw into their deck here with the Melvi as well. If you want to complain that this is not a good match because they didn't have the good hand, if they had the good hand, this match is unwinnable. So yeah, I'll just admit it right now. You're right. This is a terrible matchup. So since we pick out Gilneas here, we want to try to kill them as fast as we can. So we go ahead and play the Gilneas to buff up this Lishenna. Use our Evil Point as well for another extra damage. Arguably, there is an argument. Oh, that's a weird way of saying it. There is arguably a argument for saving the Evil Point, is what I'm trying to say. because this match usually goes for a bit long, but on the other hand, if we let them drag the game out, we are the ones on the back foot because they have a 20 damage. Or they have a basically a guaranteed combo while we don't, so there is that. I ran Cocytus against control matchups, but this is not one of those matchups that you can use Cocytus to survive because their Cocytus is much better than ours. Go ahead and just make hand space here so make sure we don't overdraw by hitting the puppet into the end summoning here. And out comes Norman, so unfortunately we worked very hard to chip them down to 7, but now they are back up to 15 because just Rune doing Rune things, I suppose. So again, we continue our quest to try to chip them down. Just make some hand space here because we want to draw cards. Use the melody to pop the wasteland again to draw cards. We pick up Axia here, which is pretty nice. We can apply pressure to their face. Even though we know they have a lot of healing, we don't win if we don't apply pressure. So it's very important for us to keep them as low as possible. Ideally within range of something like Odin, so that we can finish them at a moment's notice and it applies a lot of pressure on them, which makes it hard for them to just go on their spell boost journey, I guess. And we coin out Supplicant. The main reason is because I want to keep them in range of Dogged One, so chipping them down that way will hopefully accomplish that. Fortunately, my opponent has another Norman, which they will use to heal up here. So again, they are very far out of our range and we have to work harder again. And they will use the Demonic Call to clear my Supplicant as well, which is unfortunate for us. Get a bit of damage into their face and some healing, which doesn't really do anything because we are full. For now, we just go ahead and clear the board while chipping them down for a bit. We could have went for XCI here, but it's a bit of a not great combo pieces, so we just sort of save it for a bit. When I use a Sage Light to heal, which is very annoying, and they will use the William to clear our follower as well, which is pretty straightforward stuff. Again, we go ahead and draw into our deck to try and find more damage pieces. We want to try and find Dogged One as much as possible because they have one Super Evolve left, and once they spend it, all our Dogged Ones basically become bricks, so there's that. Here I decide it's prime time to start my offensive, so we just go ahead and Super Evolve Axia here, start chipping them down, and we use the Dogged One to get some damage in as well. If all goes well, we can kill them with Gilna Elise this turn, so we can look towards that. Unfortunately, they will use Sage Light to heal. And then draw as well, and then another homework time to draw as well. I think this was actually lethal. I just realized this was actually lethal, but I missed it. But yeah, Supplicant into the egg plus Gilna Elise's spell is lethal, but unfortunately I missed it because I'm stupid. So there's that. So we go ahead and use Axia and then Odin to protect Odin to hit them in the face and Axia to defend them instead. But my opponent has another Norman, so they're going to heal. So I believe if you check my opponent's played cards, that is 3 Sage Light and 3 Norman. So that's a total of 56 health that we've had to chew through here. But thankfully, they didn't have much else, so we do have lethal here. Obviously, at any one moment, they could have just drawn Cocytus Decline and we would have lost. But yeah, sometimes you can win if you're lucky, I guess. That's it for this game. Let's move on to the next one. And for our last game here, we have a game against Crest Haven. I really debated running this game in the video because this game is so long. But if I had to suffer through this game, then you have to suffer through watching the video of it. Or you can just click off, either one works. But I mean, if you want to see how this deck does against Haven in a super long game, I guess this will give you an example. Unfortunately, our hand's pretty bad here. Oh, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in my deck list because I was playing a different list at the time. Yeah, it's working in progress, you know how it is in the early expansion. Anyway, I don't expect this Enhanced Puppet to be super useful in this matchup, so we just go ahead and trade it in for an egg and just poke my opponent in the face. My opponent has the Knightly Order as well as the Divine Guard, so this is some kind of Ward Haven, I suppose. So we go ahead and use the Lishenna here. We will go ahead and evolve the Lishenna as well. And then we just trade, I guess. Just try to get our eggs in play, you know how it is for our early game. Opponent will go ahead and drop the Congregant of Repose here, which tells us this is probably some kind of Crest Haven. And then they just pass. I guess they prioritize getting the Marwyn over Lishenna. It's possible that they're running a list that has a high chance of drawing Marwyn. I don't know. Let me go ahead and use the Wired Assault here to clear their follower and just poke them in the face. No reason to spend any of these cards. And out comes my opponent's Marwyn right here, which will evolve. And they'll use the Horn of Despair as well to banish my Lishenna, as well as, I guess, extend the length of the Congregant's Crest. Well, we thankfully pick up another Devastating Soprano so we can set up our third egg. So now our setup is complete, so now the battle of attrition begins. We'll go ahead and try to go on the offensive here since my opponent is quite low. So we just try to deal a bunch of damage into their face. Pop a bunch of crests here. And just poke them. And we save the Melodious Monody here because we might need it for later. Of course, my opponent's Wilbur. Unfortunately, my game is bugged, so I don't have Odin in my hand. Everyone knows normally you will have Odin whenever your opponent plays Wilbur, but my game isn't working properly, so we'll have to answer this Wilbur the old-fashioned way. Go ahead and drop the Medical Grade Assassin here and use his puppet to clear the Wilbur. We evolved the Medical Grade here to clear one of the followers. Honestly, well, I guess this, in context, this play makes sense. If I had the AoE clear, the 6 cost the Congregant. If I had the Congregant in my hand, it might have been better to just ignore the ward, but in this case, we sort of want to try to kill them, so we evolve that Medical Grade Assassin and use the Dogged one to chip them down. We have another one in hand. And there's my opponents. The left so they spend all their evil points, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, all our future Dogged ones will just be bricks because my opponent is out super evil points. Yeah, Odin off the top here, which is quite nice, but we want to prioritize drawing here. Then we go ahead and use the Gilnolis to clear the Celefa. Maybe we should have saved it for the spell. Of course, there's an argument for that, but my hope is just that by doing this, we can put out a board they can't really clear very well because they're playing a lot of weird stuff, so maybe they don't even have the Grail. These are 2 big followers. Now comes their John though, which will be able to clear my followers with the help of Marwyn's Crest. And these are very big followers because of Wilbert's Crest as well. We do chip them down here, get a bunch of healing, unfortunately not quite lethal yet. Really missing their Gilnolis now when we see their health is at 5, but oh well. I may sort of forced to use my Odin here to clear the John because I don't want to die. So we go ahead and drop Love Struck Puppeteer because he takes up board space, so we play him while we can and just trade him in for a puppet. And at this point my opponent has started to heal, so I am having some trouble here, I suppose you could say. Yeah, Wire Assault though, which is nice. We can go ahead and clear that follower as well as use Sylvia to draw now that we have an opening. Very unlikely they can deal 14 damage in 1 turn, so even though we are a little bit low, we don't want to use her for healing. So I'll cast my opponent's Marwyn and they will banish my Sylvia, and as well as a Supplicant, and that will deal some damage to our face, which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, a Congregant here, which is quite nice, but first we draw to see if we can draw anything better. But we still need to clear this board, so we just drop the Congregant here, and the Congregant will draw a card as well. And we just drop a Supplicant here, both to ping them in the face as well as make hand space, so we don't mill our top deck next turn. There's Himeka. Unfortunately for them, Himeka will not board lock, so because of that they use the Shining Disenchantment to clear my followers. Plus deal some face damage with the help of Marwyn's Amulet, but we will heal out a bunch using Lishenna's Amulets as well. We'll go ahead and use the Olivia to draw. Honestly, we can just ignore Himeka here. We don't really need to clear it. And then we take this opportunity now that our board is full to get rid of this Devastating Soprano, as well as just cycle the eggs a bit more. I'm going to summon a bunch of followers here to protect their face while they heal up and hit us in the face with Marwyn's Crest. On the other hand, we are also pinging them in the face and healing up with our eggs. It's about time now, so we'll go ahead and drop the Congregant here just to get rid of that fall as we have a second one anyway, so we're not too worried. And drop an X here as well to protect the congregants, so we can hopefully punch them in the face with it. But out comes my opponent's John, which will clear up my board as well as just be a overall nuisance with a big body. Our opponent is running out of resources here, although we are taking a lot of damage, so that's not great either. Yeah, we go on Elise here, which is very nice. I'm not sure. Oh, this is lethal, so we do manage to get lethal here thanks to... Wait, no, it's not lethal. Yeah, it's not lethal. Never mind, ignore me. So we go ahead and just do that to clear the John here. Got the Lust Truck to get the puppet out. Hopefully we can look to drop the congregant into Dog at 1 next turn if they don't heal out of range. Obviously we're hoping they don't. Here they heal a bunch, but thankfully they are still within range with the help of Lishenna's amulet, so... a bit of a long game, but we do manage to find the lethal at the end. We're dropping Congregant to pop all my amulets and then Dog at 1 to finish them off. So that's it for this game. So those are all the games I have for today. Couple of long ones at the end. This deck generally does play long games because it's a very slow and control oriented deck, even though it's probably worse at control than the actual control deck. So take that as you will, I guess. I intended for this video for me to rest my throat a bit, but turns out I had to talk a lot anyway because these games were so long. So yeah, anyway, that's it for today's video. If you like it, I guess you can try the deck yourself. It's pretty expensive and it's hard for me to recommend this for anyone besides Lishenna's biggest fans, I guess. Or if you already have most of these cards, then maybe you can try it, but otherwise, a bit hard to recommend it right now, especially since it's early in the expansion. We don't know what's strong yet. Yeah, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.